Hello and welcome to Storytime with the Accidental Librarian. Today we are reading I Am Papa Snap and these are my favourite No Such Stories. This is one of my favourite storybooks as a child. It's full of ridiculous and very silly short stories. So let's start. I am Papa Snap and these are my favourite No Such Stories. Bunny Bunsen Brittle goes fishing. He has no permit. Who cares? There are no fish. Here's Bunny Bunsen Brittle going fishing. No permit, but no fish. After a violent argument with his parents, young Arson Twitch ran away from home, taking along the family tub. He set out to sea. After 3 weeks and 2 days of nothing, he tried out his slingshot on a battleship. And here's young Arson Twitch running away with the family bathtub. And there he is at sea, trying out a slingshot on a battleship. So Spiffy Loin is famed for his daring exploration of far-out jungles. He hunts down wildflowers, which he captures and tames. On the western slopes of the Kilimanjaro, he finally discovered the rarest of them all, the giant, carnivorous Pedophagia spinatus. After countless adventures, Sir Spiffy Loin managed to return with his prize. At last, following years of relentless work, he was able to train the plant to perform various acts in public. And there's Sir Spiffy Loin exploring the deep jungle. There he is, with the plant finally trained to perform in public. The 4 Tremblance brothers, Fester, Fister, Faster and Foster, love to blast the helicons. It sounds terrible. All the tenants of the building they live in had to move out. They just could not stand the hideous noise anymore. Great, says Fister, the oldest brother. Now we have the building to ourselves. And there are the 4 Tremblance brothers blasting away on their brass instruments. And there are the poor neighbours that live in their apartment that have had to move out because of the noise. Mr. and Mrs. Caboodle went to town to purchase a new nest. They bought one for sale from a local neurologist. It was a brand new model, which came with plumbing and ready-laid eggs. The Caboodles had promptly delivered to the tree they owned, but the nest fell apart in a week. The eggs, which were rotten, started to leak. The plumbing was useless, since it just consisted of a piece of pipe with a spigot. Well, that's what happens when you start spending money, reflected Mr. Caboodle sadly. And there they are, the Caboodles, going shopping for the new nest. And there they are, very disappointed with the nest. About a week later, it's all fallen apart. Mr. Maroon Morsel gave his wife Retina a steamroller for their 20th anniversary. She uses it to iron her laundry and flatten pizza dough. They drive it on weekends to visit Mr. Morsel's bedridden mother, who lives in the mountains. And there's Retina steamrolling the laundry. And there they are together, Mr. and Mrs. Morsel, visiting Mr. Morsel's mother in the mountains with a steamroller. When Mr. Slopgut visits his favourite restaurant, he orders everything on the menu. The other night, he put on so much weight during his meal that he crashed through the floor on the way out. And there's Mr. Slopgut enjoying his gluttonous meal. And there he is, crashing through the floorboards on the way out. Mr. Lido Rancid went to see his doctor, Stigma Lorngreen. Doctor, he lamented, I can't breathe, I feel clogged, and my thorax is peppered with pains. The medicine man took him into the X-ray machine and pondered over the patients inside. There is a pickle jammed in your vena cava, and the gangulated cords of your sympathetic are all tangled up. Here is your prescription, said the doctor. It is a pickle tune. Sing it 3 times a day before meals. Goodbye. The prescription did not work, and Mr. Rancid got much worse. By now, he has already worn out 2 beds and 3 nurses. There's Mr. Lido Rancid going to see his doctor and getting an X-ray. And there he is in bed, still unwell. Mr. Limpet is blind. Mrs. Limpet is lame. They are old. They are happy. They have each other. And there's a nice picture of Mr. Limpet and Mrs. Limpet together. Uncle Rimsky never believed in dragons until he discovered one behind an abandoned tractor. It was weak, limp, and shaky. Uncle Rimsky took it into his home and fed it with matches and kindling wood. This ingenious diet soon restored the dragon. The grateful beast now works very nicely, lighting Uncle Rimsky's cigars, starting the fires in the morning, and keeping the dishes hot. And there's Uncle Rimsky and his happy little dragon there, lighting a cigar. Every morning, Mr. Tubersprout runs to the station, and every morning he misses the train. In 7 years, he hasn't managed yet to get on the train. The station clock is always 5 minutes ahead of mine, he exclaims, but at least it keeps me from going to work. And there's Mr. Tubersprout, running for the train that he's going to miss yet again. Zinc Slug bought a new car. It had lots of cylinders, coordinated cram-notch gears, coupled crunch brakes, 2-speed grinders, Cobra upholstery, an electronic police detector, strobe headlights, and a quantity of whatnots. It makes him feel very good. But the day he rammed it into a tree, it made him feel very bad. There's Mr. Zinc Slug racing up a hill. Yeah, he is unfortunately having crashed into a tree, which has made him feel not so good. After a bitter fight, Ace Captain Vertigo's plane was hit. He had already abandoned his machine when he realized that he had left his parachute at the canteen. I promise this is the last time I'll forget my splash. And there's Captain Vertigo bailing out of his plane without a parachute. There his plane is having crashed into someone's, unfortunately, into their house. Holy kayak! Exclaimed Andy Rondak as he returned from the supermarket on a Wednesday afternoon after a hard day's work at the ice cream factory 4 miles down the road, second turn to the left after the pink service station, which is now under new management since nobody around here uses any petrol due to the fact that all the traffic is handled by reindeers and dogs. A blessing too when one considers how loud snowmobiles can be, which is one of the reasons why the new management turned the service station into a library for the elderly. Holy kayak! Exclaimed Andy Rondak. There is an elephant in my igloo. And there's the unfortunate elephant. And now the same unfortunate elephant inside Andy's igloo. Every day, rain, shine, or overcast, he walks down to the shore. He sits on a rock to read or dream. He has no friends, no enemies. He lives in peace. No one knows anything about him, not even his name. And there he is, walking off to his favourite rock. And there he is pondering on his favourite rock, looking out over the sea. Isn't that nice? One day, Papa Snap heard a very, very, very hungry sofa and heard that it was owned by Mr. Mulch. What a wonderful no such story that would make, he thought. That same night, Papa Snap paid a visit to Mr. Mulch and was never seen again. And there's Papa Snap being swallowed by the sofa. Very unfortunate. And that brings to an end our reading of I Am Papa Snap, and these are my favourite No Such Stories. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon for another story time. Bye.